And you're watching The Breakdown with the fight analyst Garrett Kerman.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to The Breakdown. I am the fight analyst Garrett Kerman, and this show is to break down each and every UFC fight card from a betting perspective to make you guys a ton of money. To recap UFC 258, we cash in our biggest bet on the night on Kamaru Usman for a 5-unit max bet. I try to tell everybody that Kamaru Usman is a sensational fighter, and he's going to go down as one of the best welterweights to ever do it. He's not yet there. GSP, was on top of the game for the longest time, but Usman is creeping up there. The dude has more win streak than GSP. He's got 13. He's got 3 title defenses. I mean, he's just getting started. The dude is still young, but he's got a lot of ways to go to be the GOAT, but he's still going to go down as one of the greatest welterweights, if not already there. I think he's just a step below GSP at this point. But yeah, man, what a sensational performance. You can't knock anything on Gilbert Burns. He came out there firing. He rocked Usman in round 1, but he just kind of gassed himself out in that first round trying to get the finish. And Usman capitalizes, and he got the finish inside the distance in round 3. His striking looked phenomenal, and he just looked good. His cardio was on point. Everything was great. I had some mishaps. I took Rodolfo Vieira, and I know I probably shouldn't have. I laid the juice when I know I shouldn't have. It is what it is. He came in there and just gas himself out within 3 rounds. You got to give it up to Anthony Hernandez. What a sensational performance by him. He was able to get out of a full mount and the back take against one of the greatest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners in the UFC. So kudos to him. And then to get the finish, get the submission against somebody like that is just top notch. So very, very good there. I was very, very impressed. Overall, it was a great night of fights. We made small profit over the weekend, about 2 units between Titan FC, LFA, and UFC. So we're looking to keep the ball rolling this weekend at UFC Vegas 19, headlined by Curtis Blaydes and Derrick Lewis in the heavyweight division. I'm looking forward to this fight card. We got 15 fights on tap, so it's going to be a crazy night of fights. It's going to be a long night of fights, and I'm looking to get into the breakdown right now. All right, so our first fight up on the prelims is a fight at 265 pounds heavyweight division between Sergey Spivak and Jared Vanderaa. Right now, Spivak is a minus 245 favorite, and the comeback on Vanderaa is a plus 205 underdog. Like I've said in previous podcasts, not betting on low-level heavyweight fights. This is one I'm staying clear of. If we look at who's winning each side of the fight, okay, Spivak is definitely the far better striker. He's more fluent on the feet. He definitely throws more volume. Vanderaa is just a plodding heavyweight. He's a big dude. He's easily hittable. So if this fight stays on the feet, Spivak should be able to have his way with him. Potentially getting him out of there. I think 10 of his 11 wins are inside the distance. So he could probably get a KO there. But the problem lies is with getting taken down. If he gets taken down by Jared, he could potentially get a ground and pound finish. And I don't see where I can find the greatest angle here. And I definitely don't want to lay a minus 245 on Spivak, even though I do think he tends to win. He's fought the better competition over his time in the UFC. He's looked decent in his wins, but he's looked bad in his losses. So, but my favorite bet on this fight is the over 1.5 rounds. I know I think it's juiced right now at minus 225, but I think that's a pretty good fight to take the over. I tend to like to take overs in heavyweight fights because, especially lower heavyweight fights, where guys I tend to know have, one punch knockout power, and I don't think either one of these two have that one punch knockout power. So I like the over 1.5 rounds here. And if I'm siding on anyone, it would be Spivak to win probably by KO, late second round or early third round KO. All right, so our next fight up is a fight at 135 pounds between Aiemann Zahabi and Drako Rordriguez. Right now, Rodriguez is a minus 175 favorite, and Zahabi is a plus 155 underdog. All right, so Zahabi has 2 fights in the last 3 years, hasn't fought in about 2 years or so. He hasn't looked great in his time in the UFC. He's 1-2. He's lost his fights against Vince Morales. He lost fight against I forgot who, a good fighter before that. I'm just blanking right now. But yeah, he just hasn't looked great. Striking is okay. His grappling is just not good. It's non-existent, and that just doesn't bode well against Drako Rodriguez, who is just a great all-around fighter. 7-1, who with his only lone loss coming against Tony Gravely, and that was a 5th round of a title fight, where he was finished in the 5th round. So the dude has cardio. He's got stand-up. He's got submission game. He's finished 16 of his 20 total fights between amateur and professional. Yes, that means he's got 8 fights as a pro and 12 fights as an amateur. He was 12-0 as an amateur. He's finished 16 of his 19 wins. So he's a finisher. The dude comes to finish. He fought a really good competitor on the Contender Series and a good prospect. So sky's the limit for him, and I really do. I'm very strong on Drako Rodriguez here. I think he's a legit prospect, and I think Zahabi's only in the UFC because of who who his brother is for the renowned Firas Zahabi, one of the great coaches in this sport and fighting out of TriStar. So I kind of think that's the reason why he's even in the UFC. And yeah, I'm taking Drako Rodriguez here. He's got the skill advantages on the feet, on the mat, and I don't think the grappling of Zahabi will be able to get Rodriguez down and wear him out, because I think on the feet Draco's got power. He's the more technical savvy fighter on the feet. So yeah, I'm very high on Drako here, and I got him winning this fight, possibly inside the distance as well. All right, next up, we have a fight at 145 pounds between Skelly and Jamall Emmers. Right now, Emmers is a minus 235 favorite, and the comeback on Skelly is a plus 195 underdog. I'm really liking Emmers in this spot. He's got just a massive advantage on the feet. He's got the reach advantage. He's just the more fluid striker. He's definitely got the more pop in his strikes. Skelly needs to get this fight to the ground. He needs to make this a gritty ground fight up against the cage and just hunt for submissions, because that's the only way he really gets his wins. I believe he's only got 2 knockouts in his entire career. So he needs to use a ton of his grappling and make it work. But then again, Emmers is a very, very good grappler in himself. The only fault about Emmers is his fight IQ, not the greatest. In the fight with Giga Chikadze, in a fight that he had a massive grappling advantage. He didn't start to grapple until midway into the second round. It's not something I want to see from him here. I don't want to see him engage in grappling. I want to see him just stay at distance and pop the jab, use his kicks, use his length, use his reach, and just hammer Skelly at distance. So it's hard to take him here on minus 235 as it's such a big heavy favorite. But I do like him to win this fight. I do have him winning a decision. I have him winning a decision at plus 130. I think that's still a good line there. You got to remember, Skelly is coming off a layoff. He's had surgery as well. He's had some injuries. So I don't think he's in the best shape coming into this fight. And I think Emmers has a much higher ceiling as well. But I'm taking Emmers here. I'm taking him by decision. And we're getting a decent line at plus 130. I'm taking him there. All right. Next up, we have a fight at flyweight in the women's flyweight division between Shana Dobson and Casey O'Neill. Right now, O'Neill is a minus 150 favorite, and Shana Dobson is a plus 130 underdog. Shana Dobson, wow, what a performance in her last fight against Maria Agapova. It was sensational. She weathered the early storm. Agapova gassed herself out, and Dobson just absolutely put a beating on her and finished her in the second round. Granted, you got to give credit to Shana Dobson, but you also have to take it into the fact that Agapova was working Dobson in that first round, and half of the reason why she won is because Agapova legit just tired herself out to the point of exhaustion. She legit even had to leave on a stretcher because she was so exhausted in after that fight. So you kind of take that with a grain of salt, but kudos to her. She cashed in as one of the biggest betting underdogs in UFC history. I think that was at plus 950, so it was kind of crazy. And now you look at the line at plus 130. I think there's a lot of recency bias there. I don't think the bookmakers want to give people a 9-1 on Shana Dobson again. So that's why they kind of lined it as close as it is right now. In comes a newcomer in Casey O'Neill. She's 5-0. She's the UAE flyweight champion over in Abu Dhabi. She's looked good in her time. I know she's only 5-0. She's only got 5 fights as a pro, but she's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu purple belt. From what I've seen in her tape, she's a come forward, no nonsense, throw volume, get in your face type fighter, and looking to get the fight down to the ground. And that's where she does her work very, very well. And when she gets it to the mat, man, she's relentless and she's vicious. She got some vicious ground and pound. And she's got some really good submissions, whether it's off her back with an arm bar or getting the rear naked choke. She's got some really, really good submissions. Here lies the problem with Shana Dobson. She has not defended a single takedown in her UFC career. Her opponents are 8 for 8 on their takedown attempts. She let a Muay Thai striker in Sabina Mazo take her down and control her for 11 minutes in a 15-minute fight. She took her down 4 times and absolutely dominated her on the mat. And mind you, that's the one and only time that Sabina Mazo has landed a takedown in a UFC fight. It was against Shana Dobson. So in comes Casey O'Neill. I know she hasn't fought great competition. She hasn't beaten great competition, but she trains at great camps. Half the time was over in Thailand at Tiger Muay Thai, and half of her time was spent over here in Vegas in Extreme Couture, I believe. And then she also trained at 10th Planet in Las Vegas with Casey Halstead and that crew. So she's getting in a ton of great work, great camp. And I just think she's been progressing in her time. So, man, I'm really high on Casey O'Neill, especially with the grappling background that she has and how relentless she is. I've seen her go the distance multiple times. It doesn't look like she's gassed out in her fights. She hasn't gassed out. The only problem is she does eat, some punches. But I don't think Shana Dobson is one to have that one punch knockout power. If Agapova didn't gas out, she wasn't going to end her with strikes. And before that, the only person that she ended with strikes is Ariel Beck on the Ultimate Fighter finale. And that was pretty much it in her entire career. So I'm taking Casey O'Neill here, and I'm very, very confident in her abilities. And mind you, I don't bet low-level women's MMA fights. I told you guys this millions of times. I don't bet on low-level women's MMA fights, but I have a good feeling about Casey O'Neill here. I don't know if she's going to be, the cream of the crop at the flyweight division, but seeing how shallow the flyweight division is, just 2 or 3 wins can get her in the rankings. So, and she's really I think she's a pretty good prospect because she's very, very exciting, and she's one that definitely will fight for your money. So I'm very high on Casey O'Neill here, minus 150. You can even get her by submission plus 750, which is insane considering she's going to be hunting for a ton of submissions. once she gets that fight to the ground. So that's a pretty good prop parlay there. So I got Casey O'Neill here, minus 150. Next up, we have a fight at 145 pounds between Rafael Alves and Pat Sabatini. Right now, Alves is a minus 185 favorite, and Sabatini is a plus 160 underdog. This is going to be a very, very good fight. I've been high on Sabatini during his time in the regional scene. I believe he's fought for CES MMA, which is majority of his time. I've watched a ton of his fights. He's a very, very good grappler, Renzo Gracie fighter. So you know what you're getting from him. A ton of grappling and a ton of submission attempts. Alves training down here at MMA Masters. You know where you're getting from him. Muay Thai striker, ton of left kicks. He's super built. He's ripped. He's a big 145er. Sabatini is taking this fight on a short notice. I think it's about a week or two notice, but this is his time. I knew he was eventually going to make it into the UFC, so it's going to be good. It's going to be a great, great matchup. Man, it's a tough one to call because on the feet, I think Alves definitely is going to be the far superior striker. But when it hits the mat, that's where it's going to be interesting because Sabatini, majority of his wins are, by decision and submission and, just grinding his opponents out. And Alves is, I think 6 or 7 of his losses have been by submission. So, if it hits the mat, it's going to be very, very, it's going to be very difficult for Alves. So if I'm taking anybody here, I think I might take Sabatini here as a dog. I think if he goes in there and gets his fight to the ground, he can wear out Alves and he could potentially get a rear naked choke submission. And we're getting a good line on him as a plus 160 underdog. So I'm going to take him here. Yeah, I think it's a good play. All right, next up, we have a fight at 145 pounds between Julian Erosa and Nate Landwehr. Right now, it's basically a pick'em fight. Landwehr is a minus 115 favorite, and Erosa is a minus 105 underdog. So, yeah, it's basically a pick'em fight. This is going to be an absolute banger of a fight. These two guys just come and throw down. This is going to be an absolute war until someone goes down. This fight should end under 2.5 rounds, which is about minus 115 right now. This is going to be a good one, man. This is going to be an absolute war. If I'm picking a side here, I feel like I have to go at Landwehr here. He's shown that he's tough enough to take punches. I know the Herbert Burns fight didn't bode well, but I mean, it is what it is. That's the first time he's ever been finished in his entire career. And it was just, he got caught. It doesn't make him chinny or anything of the sort. In comes Erosa. The dude is so tall for the division. He's so lanky, so long, but he doesn't know how to use his reach. He always wanted to come in and he wants to brawl with everybody. It doesn't make any sense because I think 8 of his losses are by KO or something of the sort, something close. But if that comes to fruition, if Erosa is coming to just throw down like he does in every single fight of his, it's not going to bode well against Nate Landwehr here. I think Nate comes forward and he throws some heavy shots, and I think he gets Erosa out of there within 2 rounds, to be honest with you. I think you're getting a good line on him here, minus 115. I think he wins by knockout, which would give you an even better line there. I don't have the prop odds there, but yeah, I'm taking Nate here, and I think he wins by KO within 2 rounds. All right, next up, we have a fight in the bantamweight division between Eddie Wineland and John Casteneda. Right now, Casteneda is a minus 120 favorite, and come back on Eddie Wineland is a plus 100 underdog. Man, I really don't know who to pick in this fight. I don't understand why Casteneda is. I can understand why he's a favorite because, Eddie Wineland hasn't looked good. He just got knocked out senseless by O'Malley. But Casteneda hasn't looked good either. He's won 1 fight in his last 4. He's lost against bad competition on the regional scene in Combate Americas. But the thing is, with Wineland, he's only losing to good competition, and he's only beaten good competition. So this is arguably one of the biggest step downs of his entire career. Maybe this is a fight where Wineland can actually get a win, and get back on track. But this is a fight I have absolutely no idea who's going to win. This is a fight I do not want to put my money on. Neither one of these two do I trust with my money at all. But if I'm giving a pick as to who should win, I think Wineland has still got enough in the tank to beat a guy that's not even in his ballpark, to be honest with you, who's not even remotely the same competition as he's fought throughout his entire career. So I would go with Wineland based off of that. All right, next up, we have a fight at 155 pounds between Drakar, Klose, and Luis Violent Bob Ross Pena. This could be a really good fight. Pena's taking this fight on 11 days' notice. And this is going to be a back and forth slugfest of a fight. And, man, it's going to be really close. I think it's definitely going to go to decision. I like the over 2.5 rounds here. Pena, man, he's got the tools to be really good, but he's just so inactive when it comes on the feet. He's got the length. He just doesn't throw enough volume, and that's why I never want to bet on him, because he just doesn't throw enough on the feet. And with Drakar Klose, he's been out for a minute. He's had some injuries, which has kept him out. So that's another reason why I kind of don't want to bet on him either. But he's also another great fighter. Doesn't throw a ton of combinations, but he throws heat behind his punches. He's going to throw a ton of leg kicks. I know that, Pena is a southpaw, but Klose still throws leg kicks, whether you're a southpaw or orthodox. He'll throw it to the inside lead leg. So it's going to be interesting to see how Pena does fare against those leg kicks and, trying to move forward and laterally and away from the power right hand of Klose. So it's going to be a very close fight, but in the end, I think Klose edges this out in a decision, throws the heavier shots, lands the bigger shots. He's got good takedown defense as well. So, yeah, I'm taking Klose here to win a close decision. All right, next up, we have a fight between Jared Gordon and Danny Chavez at 145 pounds. Chavez is a minus 145 favorite, and the comeback on Jared Gordon is a plus 125 underdog. This is going to be another good fight as well. Gordon, 17-3. He's fought some legit competition, in his time in the UFC. He looked good on his comeback fight to 145. He's been most of his time at 155. And the guys there just seemed a bit too big for him and a bit too powerful for him. So he dropped to 45, and he looked good against Chris Fishgold and absolutely dominated him on the mat. In comes Danny Chavez, wins his short notice debut against TJ Brown. He looks sensational. And I know his cardio didn't look up to par, but then again, you're talking about a guy that took a fight about a week before taking that short notice fight. Then he told me he was, getting a little fat, and he was eating after his fight, kind of celebrating. And then he had to cut weight again. So, that does a lot on your body. So I can't really fault him there, but he's looking in tip-top shape. Trains down here at MMA Masters. So what you're going to get from him. Good wrestling background. We've seen that in his fight against Jason Suarez, who's a legit prospect that's now fighting for the PFL. And he's shown he can grapple with people, and he's shown he can bang with people too. This is going to be a very interesting fight. It's going to be a very, very close fight. Gordon is a good fighter as well, both on striking and grappling. So they're pretty evenly matched across the board. It really comes down to who wants him more, and who's going to throw more, and who's going to, land more. But I think the leg kicks and the power I will give to Chavez, and I think those are going to be the game changers. I think Gordon is going to want to clinch up a lot, and I think he's going to want to grapple just like he did with Chris Fishgold. If he had success there, he's probably going to want to do the same here. And I think Chavez's takedown defense is good enough. He's shown his grappling against TJ Brown, who's also a very, very good wrestler. TJ Brown could have given him to the mat. And ultimately, Chavez was the one that landed the takedowns against TJ Brown. And, he looked good on top. I just think he just looked sensational. I'm taking Chavez here, minus 145. Still think that's a pretty good price here as well. And I'm betting on that. I'm definitely betting on Chavez in that fight. All right, next up, we have a fight between Andrei Arlovski and Tom Aspinall. Right now, Aspinall is a minus 245 favorite, and the comeback on Arlovski is a plus 205 underdog. All right. Tom Aspinall is a legit heavyweight prospect. He's been knocking dudes senseless since coming into the UFC. He's so quick on his feet. And he showed a little bit of his grappling in his last fight, too. You forget this guy is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's been training Jiu-Jitsu majority of his life, even before boxing. He was an amateur boxer as well. He trained with the Gypsy King, over there, Tyson Fury. So he's got great hands, really quick, fast hands. And he's got the grappling background to boot as well. In comes Arlovski, coming off a patented Arlovski decision that have been cashing in his last two fights as massive underdogs. I don't think he should have won his last fight against Tanner Boser, but it is what it is. Judges liked that he threw to the head a little bit more, landed a little bit more to the head, but Boser pretty much doubled him up on strikes, landed and thrown all three rounds. So. But this is Arlovski's, he's on his last legs. Arlovski's going to want to make this a gritty, grinding type of fight to kind of get Aspinall to use a ton of his energy over the course of the fight and just kind of wear him out, stay at distance, kick him, and just use his length. But I think Aspinall is in great shape. He's not overweight. He's not a big, a very heavyweight. He's very quick on his feet. I think he's strong enough to stay out of the clinch. He can even land takedowns if he needed to. But even at minus 245, I still think Aspinall's a decent parlay piece here. It's not like I'm going to go all in on him, but I would throw him in a parlay, maybe with Curtis Blaydes to get it down to like a minus 130 price point. Not terrible, but I'm taking Aspinall to win here, and he's going to show that he's a legit prospect at heavyweight. All right, next up, we have a fight in middleweight division between Nassourdine Imavov and Phil Hawes. Right now, Phil Hawes is a minus 120 favorite, and the comeback on Imavov is a plus 100 underdog. Man, these guys were supposed to square off about a month ago. And, things got in the way. I don't remember exactly why Hawes was pulled. I'm not sure if it was COVID related or not, but, it is what it is. And here we are. Imavov was a much bigger underdog back then. People were betting him down to almost pick him where it kind of is now. And that's where it kind of settled at right now. Phil Hawes, he looks sensational against Jacob Malkoun. Coming in there and absolutely starching him in the first round in his UFC debut. He starts, I think, his last three opponents. He's looking good, but, he's still the same type of fighter. He's all in that first round, and you don't know what you're going to get from him if it gets past that first round. But that first round is going to be hell on fire for Imavov. He's going to have to go through hell in that first round. He's going to have to put his chin on the line in that first round. This is a great live betting opportunity here because, I would probably bet Hawes round one, and then I would probably bet Imavov round two, round three. Because I think round two for Imavov is plus 700. Round three is like plus 1,200. Because either way, this fight should end inside the distance. And I think Imavov can get a finish because Hawes will be gassed himself out after round one. but Hawes can definitely get that round one finish. So I think that's a really good betting strategy. I would live bet this fight as well. If you see that Hawes is slowing down midway through that first round, and Imavov is taking the punches and rolling with it, you can have another Anthony Hernandez situation on your hands here, and you can cash in a pretty big bet live after round one, especially if Hawes, gets up early, gets up big, and wins the first round. You might get some even bigger plus money on Imavov after round one. So yeah, I don't have an early side on either one of these guys. It's just a situation where I would just go ahead and live bet this fight and and go from there, because it can go either way. It really can. All right, next up, we have a fight in the heavyweight division between Alexei Oleinik and Chris Daukaus. Right now, Daukaus is a minus 185 favorite, and the comeback on Alexei Oleinik is a plus 165 underdog. First off the bat, this fight is going under 1.5 rounds, which is at minus 150. Let's get that right out of there. Daukaus' fights, 11 of his 13 fights have gone under 1.5 rounds. None of them have seen the judges. One of his 13 fights have seen the judges. And Alexei Oleinik, 6 of his last 8 fights have gone under 1.5 rounds as well. So that's right off the bat. This fight's going under 1.5 rounds. I think that's a great bet right there. And then as far as winning, I'm taking Daukaus to win inside the distance at minus 125. I don't see there's no reason to take him by money line. I don't see how Oleinik is going to be able to take and withstand the power and the volume that Daukaus possesses over the course of a 15-minute fight. He's been finished numerous times in the last 3-4 years. And Daukaus has finished, I believe, 12 of, I think all 10 of his wins have come inside the distance. So majority of them are first round knockouts. So I got Daukaus here. I think he's able to defend the takedowns from Oleinik. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's been training Jiu-Jitsu majority of his life at Martinez BJJ. So I think he's going to be able to, he might get taken down, but I think he'll be able to get back up. And when he does get back up, it should be all she wrote from there. So I'm taking Daukaus here to win inside the distance at minus 125. And I'm taking the under 1.5 rounds at minus 150 in this fight as well. All right, we're up to our next fight in the featherweight division between Derrick Minner and Charles Rosa. Right now, Rosa is a minus 185 favorite, and the comeback on Derrick Minner is a plus 160 underdog. This is it's gonna be a very interesting fight. It's a very close fight. I don't think Rosa should be a minus 185 favorite. Minner showed that he's exceptional when it comes to submissions. He's very, very dangerous. He looked better, since training now at Glory MMA with James Krause and all of them over there. He's looked good. And those guys love their submissions. They love their grappling. We saw it with Julian Marquez when he was 45 seconds away from losing, snatched up that Darce. It was very, very exceptional. A thing of beauty. It was sensational. And that's what they do over there in Glory. They snatch necks and they cash checks. So with Rosa, he's going to want to, keep the distance, stay on his bike, and just keep away from the grappling of Minner. Rosa showed that, he can get taken down, and that's not very good against a fighter like Minner. But if this fight stays on the feet, Rosa should have the clear striking advantage. Man, this is such a tough fight to call. As far as this fight goes, I would probably lean towards Rosa. I think he's fought and beaten the better competition over his time. And I don't know, man. This is a really tough fight. I do like the under 2.5 rounds here. I do think someone's getting submitted. I do think someone's getting a finish. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the under 2.5 rounds as a bet, but I'm not really sure at either side. But if I had to choose on a side, I'd probably go with Charles Rosa. I just think he's the more well-rounded fighter. I think he's a better striker, as long as he keeps it on the feet. But Minner is very opportunistic, and he can definitely snatch any limb is if he gets it to the mat. So yeah, let's keep this thing rolling. All right, so up next is our co-main event, which is a fight in the women's bantamweight division between Ketlen Vieira and Yana Kunitskaya. Right now, Ketlen is a minus 265 favorite, and Yana is a plus 225 underdog. I really do like Ketlen in this fight. I think she's one of the best at 135 pounds. She had that mishap in her one fight against Aldana. She got starched. It is what it is. Shit happens. She came back after about a year or two layoff, and she looked sensational, and she just picked up right where she left off. Yana, she looked good in her last fight as well. She looked dominant. She controlled majority of the fight, used a lot of clinch work, used a lot of grappling. She's going to have to do that here because Ketlen does have the much more. She's got the power advantage here. She's got the volume advantage. She is the bigger, stronger of the two fighters as well. But I just think Ketlen she's that next person to really challenge Nunes at 135 pounds. I said this before the Aldana fight. She's a big, strong girl. She's got power in her hands. She's got good grappling. She's going to be next in line for a title shot eventually. When it's all said and done, she is really good, and she's going to put a stake in it right here against Yana. I think she puts a beating on her. Over 2.5 rounds sounds about right. A good Ketlen Vieira decision prop isn't bad, but I like her at minus 265, even with a little bit of juice. I think she wins comfortably. All right, so we're up to our main event of the evening between Curtis Razor Blaydes and Derrick the Black Beast Lewis. Right now, Curtis Blaydes is a massive minus 430 favorite, and the comeback on Derrick Lewis is plus 345 underdog. When I talk to Curtis Blaydes, I got a vote of confidence in him because and people were posting about it. He was posting about it, that, people were asking him, oh, are you going to go in there and wrestle? And he's like, of course I'm going to go in there and wrestle. I'm not going to go in there and fight his fight. I'm going to go in there and fight my fight. I don't need to go in there and prove anything to anybody. I've proven that I am one of the best fighters in there, and I can strike with anybody. He's shown it in his Junior Dos Santos fight that he can knock out somebody, but he's not going to go and do that with someone with like Derrick Lewis with his type of power. He's going to go in there, fight his fight, get the fight to the mat, and do what he does best. And if he does that, man, I don't see how Lewis is going to win because he's like a fish. He's like a fish out of water with his on his back. He just doesn't know what to do. He can hardly get up. And once Blaydes gets him down there, he's holding him down for the majority of that round. So it really comes down to the will and the cardio of Blaydes. If he wilts and his cardio is not up to par like it kind of was in the Volkov fight towards the end, it's not good. Because that's when Lewis can capitalize, because when you're tired, it only takes one punch from Lewis to really put you out of there. But other than that, I think Blaydes has this fight all day, and I love the over 1.5 rounds here. I think it's priced at about minus 180. It's starting to get up there in price. I already got it at minus 150, so it's starting to creep up. So I would get that in as soon as possible. But yeah, I got Blaydes all day in this fight. You can even hedge, a Lewis KO if you're just a little bit on edge, because that's literally the only way Lewis could possibly win is by a fluke KO, and then you'll get that I think around plus 400. So yeah, and I have Blaydes here. I'm very confident in his abilities. I still think he's one of the best heavyweight fighters on the planet, next to Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou, and now John Jones. But after those two fight, after Francis and Stipe fight, and then after John Jones gets the winner of those two, Blaydes is next in line. He's like, as long as I win this fight, he's gonna fight for a title. He's gonna wait for the title. There's no reason for him to fight anybody else. He's next in line after those two fights happen. it's his all day. So I'm looking forward to seeing him go in there and get the job done and finally get a title shot. So yeah, guys, that's our breakdown for this week's show. I got to give a shout out to MMA Power Hour, guys. Head over there for some great MMA content. I'm coming out with my main card predictions later on this week as well. And guys, head over to manscaped.com and get the best male grooming products on the market. Use promo code TFTA20 for 20% off your order plus free shipping. And yes, we are also sponsored by Bovada. Get in touch with me. I have a $250 sign up bonus just for signing up to get when you first deposit. So you don't want to miss that, especially with fights coming up this weekend, and we got fights coming up for the next month or so. So a lot of money to be made coming up. And guys, stay tuned. Keep watching this show because we got a special guest coming up very, very soon. Very, very big fighter. He's coming up in the ranks. He just won a world title. He's gonna be in the UFC. He's just one phone call away, and I can't wait to see him in there. So stay tuned. Keep watching this show. He's coming up right after this. And with us on this week's show is none other than the newly crowned LFA light heavyweight champion, Fabio Cherant. What's up, man? Thank you so much for coming on the show. How's it going?
Thank you very much for having me. I'm doing great, letting the body heal, only a few days after the fight now, and just still trying to process what just happened,
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm super excited for you. I've been watching your journey. I know you've gone through struggles, through your life. I want to know, like, how everything led up to this very big moment in your career. What was going on, coming into fight day and preparation and everything. I just want to know, like, how it all went down for you.
Camp was camp, Camp's never easy for anybody, but I had some difficulties through the camp, but I kept my head down. I did what I had to do to get ready for the fight. It was a great camp. I felt great, super confident going into the fight. Everything just felt right. In such a dark time, everything felt super right. I felt in my zone. I just felt confident. I knew that I was confident in my ability of pulling off the win. I didn't know it was going to be like I just did it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know it's probably like I saw you in the interviews and all that. I know it was probably, so much emotions going on. Did you think that, it would get to this point again? Because I know going into the Contender Series, it was your shot to finally get into the UFC. But did you think you'd, get to this point where you're at the top of the heap again? Now the LFA light heavyweight champion. This is one of the well-oiled organizations outside of the UFC. Did you think you'd get to this point again in your career so that you're pretty much on the cusp of just getting into the UFC?
I mean, I knew wherever I thought my next fight was going to set me up to be in the UFC. I knew that I was going to I was going to be successful in this. I said I was going to after my Contender Series loss. I think my record and my fights have spoken for itself on what I said. I wasn't expecting to fight for a title, but it was definitely a great opportunity to prove my point more, and now I'm here and I did what I did, and I did it in a very spectacular way, and now I'm just waiting for the call.
Yeah, I mean, it was a dominant performance for all 5 rounds. It was really sensational, and I loved watching every minute of it. You were exciting in there. You're always exciting. You're always putting on great fights. I don't see why you won't get a call up soon. Are you looking to fight before a potential UFC call up, or you're just waiting for the right moment where it's short notice, or maybe in the summer contender series shot? What is on the horizon for you?
I think the last thing on the list is contender series. Especially after this fight, I just proved that I belong in the UFC. I beat a guy that has wins over guys in the UFC. I prove my keep. I proved that I belong in the UFC. So contender series, no. Right now, we're working on getting a short notice fight, anything from a week to 2 weeks, or even I get a nice little camp out of it. My manager is already on in the talks with the matchmakers and stuff like that, seeing what's available, what we can do. But and right now, like I said, I'm still trying to process everything that just happened. It's kind of surreal, and it still hasn't sunk in yet.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, after such a big win like that, how was it, coming home and seeing all your friends and family, and how did that all perspire, just being able to come home and, soak in the reality of being at the top right now?
It's like every other fight. It's like I said before, this fight is just another fight. I fought in front of Dana White. Not a lot of pressure is going to get to me after that. But yeah, man, I think my friends and family are on the same boat as me. They knew what I was going to be able to do out there, and it's cool that I got it done. And nothing really has changed. I've won a lot of fights, so every single time I see my family, and friends and stuff like that, nothing really changes. They're excited for me, and it's just like I said, another fight,
Another fight, another fight, another day. How does what did you think your future is going to be? Let's say, a couple of years down the road, how do you see you faring when you get there, into the UFC? How do you think you're going to take the UFC by storm? Are you going to come in there and just knock some heads off and get to the top of the light heavyweight division?
I plan on riding the wave. A lot of guys in the UFC, the younger guys, they get in there, they get a couple of great wins, and they start talking crazy, and they either get fed to the sharks and they drown, or they seize the moment. But you see a lot now of guys getting drowned, by the sharks, and that's not something I want to do. I'm 26 years old. I want to get in there, work my way up, and earn my keep, and I think I'm going to do very great in there, especially in the light heavyweight division. I think I'm going to do a great job. I just want to earn my way up to the top. I want to fight smart. I'm 7-1. I have so much growing to do, and I think I need to take my time on climbing up the rankings. And if it happens that we blow up, we blow up. I'm ready for it, but I'm not gonna talk it. I'm not gonna talk my way there.
No, I like it. I like how you're kind of methodical and not having to, want to just jump in there with the best. You want to, put your feelers out there and, show your worth into the, in there with, with some of the best fighters in the world. So that's, and I like that about you. You don't have to go out there and talk a big game, because you are a true fighter, and you put a lot into this game. And like I said earlier, you've been through a lot, and I just want to know, how was your journey getting to this point? From the very beginning.
It hasn't been easy. It has not been easy, but I've been losing my whole life, so losses, it comes easy when you've already lost. So not saying that it's a tough pill to swallow, losing, but I learned how to bounce back and seize moments more, and that's exactly what I've been doing, and I've been growing, You know, even though I win in the cage, you know, I've had 2 losses, one as an amateur, one as a pro. I've had 2 losses, but I've lost a lot outside of fighting, you know, that makes me appreciate the wins more. And you know, like I said, I still have a lot of growing and learning to do. So it's a tough road to climb, and I'm ready for it.
I like it. I like where your head's at, man. You know, I'm just hoping I just want to see more of you, and I'm hoping we can see you soon, very, very soon in the UFC. I'm hoping you get one of those, you know, UFC, you know, short notice fights. When it comes to getting a short notice fight, is it easy for you to, you know, drop the weight to get to 205 even on a week's or 2 notice?
I mean, it's no secret I missed weight 2 times in a row, but it was during a pandemic. You know, I had barely any gym access, and it was tough to cut weight when you're not training like you usually are. I didn't do strength and conditioning for almost a year before my this past fight that just happened, you know. So and they were short notice fights, but yeah, I think now that I'm working out again, I'm training the way I want to be training. The cut is a lot better. You know, my body's functioning correctly, because before I've never had to cut weight, so that's something I had to learn how to do, because before COVID happened, I would walk around at 215 and just train my way to 205 and not have to cut any weight at all. You know, I'd wake up the day before weigh-ins at 206.
Wow.
And 3 weeks out of a fight, I was force feeding myself to stay above 210, you know. And it was a tough learning experience, you know. Even though I won, I feel it was like a loss, because people kind of took away from what I did, because is he taking training serious? Is he dieting correctly? Is he doing this? And I'm like, yo, you people got to understand, we're in a freaking pandemic. If you look at my record and all my fights that I've had, I missed weight 2 times during a pandemic. Before that, I would show up and I would weigh in on the scales with all my clothes on. That, like, you think, oh, all of a sudden I just gave up on dieting properly and cutting weight and all this stuff like that. No, it's called, I'm young in this sport. I've only been doing this for 5 years. This is my 3rd year as a pro. I still have so much learning to do. And this is one of the things I had to learn, is how to adjust to the time that we're in, and work with what I've got and capitalize. And that's what I did for this fight.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't think anybody can really give you some flack on that. I mean, you're right. During a pandemic, there's a lot of shit going on, especially up in the Northeast. There's a lot of shutdowns still going on, and a lot of restrictions, and a lot of gyms still closing down. So you're getting in as much training as you possibly can do, and then during, you know, it's freaking freezing out. So there's not much you could do outside of a gym. Especially in the Northeast with all the snow and everything you guys got going on up there. So
Yeah.
there's no fault in that. And I don't think anyone should be giving you shit for it. You know, especially during these times, you know, it is what it is, but you still came in there, you got the work done, and you did a phenomenal job. So no one can take that away from you. And you got that gold around your waist. So that's bittersweet, I know. But yeah, I kind of want to get into these fights, because I know you're here. I want you to help some of our viewers make some money on fights this weekend, because you're a pro MMA fighter. I love getting some advice from pro fighters on fights, because you know more than I do. I just, you know, I do my research, but you guys know a lot more than I do. So I'm just gonna rattle off some picks. It's our rapid fire session of MMA fights. So I'm just gonna get down to it. Starting in the heavyweight division between Sergey Spivak and Jared Vanderaa. Who do you think is gonna win that one?
I'm not sure who those guys are.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. Like I said, if you don't know, we'll just pass on that fight. So our next fight would be a fight between Aiemann Zahabi and Drako Rordriguez.
Pass.
All right. Next up, we got Skelly and Jamall Emmers.
Emmers.
All right, like it. Next up is Shana Dobson and Casey O'Neill.
Dobson.
All right. Next up, we have Rafael Alves and Pat Sabatini.
Um,
Both UFC
I think
debuters.
Pat Sabatini is making his debut, correct?
Correct. Actually, they're well. Alves was on the Contender Series, but they're both making their UFC debuts.
Let's go with Sabatini. I think he's a Daniel Gracie guy. That's one of my guys. So I'm gonna go with that.
All right, I like it. I'm actually a big fan of Sabatini as well, so it's great to see him in there. All right, so we got Julian, Erosa, and Nate Landwehr.
Erosa.
Nice. Okay, Eddie Wineland and John Casteneda.
Casteneda.
Drakar, Klose, and Luis Pena.
Pena.
Jared Gordon and Danny Chavez.
Gordon.
Andrei Arlovski and Tom Aspinall.
Ooh, that he's been taking out top prospects for a couple years now. I'm gonna ride with Arlovski on this.
It's a big underdog too. So
Yeah.
if that cashes, that's big money. All right. So next up is Nassourdine Imavov and Phil Hawes.
Hawes, round 2 KO.
Ooh, round 2. You think he gets out of round 1 and still gets the finish?
Let's go under 1.5.
Ooh, even better. I like that too. I like it. I think that's around close to even money, so that's good. All right. Next up, we got Alexei Oleinik and Chris Daukaus.
I like Daukaus for this for a under 2.5 stoppage.
Oh yeah, definitely. I like that too a lot. Actually, I think majority of his fights have gone under 1.5. 11 of his 13. Well, that's gonna be a good one. All right. Next up, we have Derek Minner and Charles Rosa.
I like this fight for under 2.5.
Really?
Yeah. The winner is kind of up in the air, but I don't see this going the distance.
I like that.
I think it ends submission.
Either way, Rosa or Minner, you think they get a submission?
Yeah.
I like it. All right. In our co-main, we have Kaitlyn Vieira and Yana Kunitsakaya.
I like the over for this. Yana hasn't fought in a while, and yeah, I think the over would probably be the best decision.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's a good one. All right, so we're up to our main event. We have a fight between Curtis Blaydes and Derrick Lewis. I want to know who you got winning and why.
If this fight goes the distance, I think Blaydes by boredom. And if it doesn't, I think it's going to be under 3.5 by KO Lewis.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. I like it. Those are gonna be it's gonna be good fights. All 15 fights. Do you watch majority of these fights? Do you watch UFC fight nights and all that?
I do. There's not really much to do right now. Boston's super locked down, still. Things haven't really fully opened back up yet, so there's not much to do on the weekend, so why not watch some fights?
I like it. Yeah, that's what I do. I mean, granted, I live in Florida and everybody's out and about, no mask on. They really kind of don't care down here. So
Florida gives 0 fucks.
No, 0. Like I'm telling you, I'm out and I'm like, there's no distancing, there's no masks, and everybody's just living about their day. I'm like, all right, that's why we have some of the most cases down here, but you know, it is what it is. But man, thank you so much for coming on the show with us this week. We can't wait to see more of you. Can't wait to see you in the UFC, and we definitely need to have you come back on the show very, very soon. You have a great night, man, and we'll see you soon.
You have a go.
And that was LFA light heavyweight champion Fabio Cherant. Man, what a great fighter, great person, and we cannot wait to see more of him coming up in his career. So that's our show for this week. Guys, head over to thefightanalyst.com. Get my plays. It's only $25 to make a ton of money this weekend. And guys, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. More MMA content is coming out for you guys. So stay tuned. And remember, we will see you all cashing out at the ticket window. Until next time.